You are listening to Housekeepers Chat by the United States Department of Agriculture from 1927. Disclaimer: this is read from a historic archive document. Do not assume content reflects current scientific knowledge, policies, or practices. This broadcast was aired on Monday, the 2nd of May of 1927.
Aunt Sammy will observe National Child Health Week by devoting 5 programs to children. She will discuss food habits of children and meals for children. One program will include suggestions for making children's clothing. All information, including the recipe, approved by the United States Bureau of Home Economics.
I am basing today's chat on a letter received last week, a letter from a mother who seeks advice on the subject of food for children. Her letter follows. Dear Aunt Sammy, I am greatly interested in your talks on food, and I should like some help on my own problem. I have 3 children, Helen, a 13-year-old daughter who presents all the problems of adolescence, Robert, an 8-year-old who eats practically everything that is set before him, and Jean, 2 years old, who eats when the spirit moves her. Take this morning, for instance. Helen had no appetite. Robert bolted his food and had to be reprimanded. The baby put her heels on the table and grinned pleasantly at everybody, evidently expecting applause for her act. She had no interest in breakfast, as far as food was concerned, but she was quite willing to amuse the rest of us. I pride myself on being a modern mother, and I know what foods must be included in a child's diet. If my family were only a model one, and would fit into my neat scheme, I would have no trouble. Briefly, my problem is this: with a temperamental family, including adults and children, and a limited income, how can I be sure of feeding my family well without making special preparation for each and every member of it? I know other mothers who are confronted with this same problem, and I am sure we would appreciate help. Very well, I shall do my best, even though it may take the entire period to find the answer. First, let's write down the list of foods the growing child needs every day so we'll have something to work with. I'll tell you now that today's chat contains some of the best information I could find, and you will need your pencils every few minutes. First, milk. 1 pint a day at the very least. More if the child can take it along with the other foods he needs. Second, vegetables. Potatoes and 2 other vegetables. Don't forget to use green leaf vegetables and tomatoes often. Third, fruit, dried or canned. 2 kinds of fruit, 1 fresh and if need be the other dried or canned. Fourth, cereal. This may be in the form of bread or of breakfast food. Fifth, egg or meat or fish at 1 meal of the day. Sixth, butter at every meal. Don't forget that, please. A growing child needs butter at every meal. Seventh, a few simple sweets to be served at the end of the meal so they won't dull the appetite. Among the appropriate sweets for children are plain cookies, raisins, dates or figs, jelly, molasses, brown sugar, maple syrup, and honey. In order to answer the question stated in the letter I read to you, I have outlined 3 meals. They are safe because they contain all the nourishing foods needed by growing children, as well as by hard-working grown-ups. Let's take the first menu, breakfast. Write it down, please. Scrambled eggs, toast, prunes with lemon juice to make them tart, milk for the children, and whatever beverage father and mother prefer. Don't think this is the only well-planned breakfast I might suggest. By no means. This breakfast, as well as the other meals I've planned, could be modified in probably a million ways and still be well balanced. For instance, I might have suggested oranges or grapefruit for breakfast instead of prunes, but I had a special reason for suggesting prunes. You'll know in a minute. By the way, this is a 1-course breakfast. This means putting all the foods on the table at one time and letting the various members of the family eat them as they will. Don't take me too seriously, however. You can make a 3-course breakfast of it if you like. Scrambled eggs and toast form the main breakfast dish. It might have been hash or creamed fish or any of the other good American breakfast dishes. Remember, however, that it is a good rule to provide 1 egg a day for each child, and since father and mother usually eat their eggs for breakfast, the children might as well do likewise. With the eggs and toast, there is served a side dish of fruit. Almost any fruit can be used as a side dish, if prepared in a form that can be served that way. Orange juice in dainty glasses makes a good side dish. So do sliced oranges, or grapefruit peeled from the skin, or applesauce, or baked apples, or berries. As a beverage, the 3 children have milk. Breakfast is a good time to serve part of the daily allowance of milk. I chose the prunes for breakfast so I could recommend the use of fresh, unheated lemon juice with them. After the prunes are cooked, or better still, just before you serve them, squeeze some lemon juice on them. When lemon juice is added to dried fruit, the dried fruit has more nearly the dietetic value of fresh fruit. Prunes. With lemon juice also have a tart, pleasant flavor, which contrasts strongly with that of eggs. I can almost hear someone asking a question about this breakfast. Why didn't Aunt Sammy include a cereal? The answer is, I did. Toast is cereal, made into bread. Rolls, muffins, crackers, and so forth are cereal foods. Many people think that there is some peculiar virtue found in cereal breakfast foods, which is not found in the same amount and same kind of cereal made into bread. If the daily diet as a whole is well chosen, and if there are plenty of meat, eggs, milk, vegetables, and fruits in the diet, it is all right to use about half of the daily cereal supply in the form of refined products, such as white bread and white rice. The other half of the daily cereal supply may be used in the form of whole grain products, such as graham bread, shredded wheat, or the whole grains of barley or wheat, often used in soup. The whole grain products, or as nearly whole grain as can be obtained, are necessary for their mineral substances, particularly iron. Of course, milk is a rich source of calcium. Therefore, if a child has a glass of milk for breakfast, bread serves all the purposes of a cooked cereal. Or the milk can easily be taken at other meals in the form of soups, sauces, or desserts. Another point about cereals: potatoes and whole grain cereals are surprisingly similar in composition. If there is plenty of milk in the diet, potatoes are just as good as a whole grain cereal mush. Let's consider luncheon next. If you have your dinner in the middle of the day, this luncheon menu would do equally well for supper. Young children should have their heartiest meal in the middle of the day. You can manage this, however, without cooking special dishes for them, if you just plan ahead. How does this sound for a luncheon or supper menu? Vegetable milk soup in generous quantities, whole wheat bread and butter, and applesauce, or a sweet spread such as honey butter for the bread at the end of the meal. That's all, and that's sufficient. The vegetable milk soup may be made from vegetables left over from dinner of the previous day, or in a minute I'll give you my recipe for quick spinach soup. It's green enough to please St. Patrick himself. If eaten with plenty of whole wheat bread and butter, this is almost a meal in itself. With a serving of applesauce or baked apple for each person, and a sweet spread for the last slice of bread, no special dessert is needed. Children like honey butter, a mixture of butter and strained honey, or a sprinkling of brown sugar or maple sugar over plain bread and butter would be eaten with equal relish. If you are using this as a luncheon menu, add some cold sliced or chopped meat left over from dinner the day before for 2-year-old Jean. You can plan, too, to have enough potato to warm up for her. This will make her heartiest meal come at noon. The dinner menu I have chosen includes roast lamb with mint sauce, baked or boiled potatoes, cream sauce, peas cooked in a small amount of water and served with butter only, a deep one-crust apple pie, bread and butter, and milk if desired. For dinner, a good general rule is to serve with the meat, poultry, or fish, 1 creamed vegetable as a bland one that goes well with gravy, and 1 buttered vegetable. Dessert may be either a fruit pie or a fruit shortcake, or cookies and fruit. Even the youngest child can have a good meal from this dinner menu. For dinner in the middle of the day, Jean might have some of the potatoes with a little gravy, if it is not greasy, buttered peas, a little of the cooked apple from a deep apple pie, with perhaps a glass of milk and some bread and butter. For an evening meal, Jean will probably feel more comfortable and sleep better if she has just the cooked apple, milk, and bread and butter. Here is something I want you to remember. According to modern theories of dietetics, children suffer more from not getting the foods they need, milk, vegetables, and fruits, than from eating indigestible things. So, and here's the answer to the question stated some time ago. It may be better for the average child to eat at the family table, where there is a variety of wholesome foods, than to be given separate meals. I am taking for granted, of course, that the other members of the family eat what is good for them. In other words, that they eat to live instead of living to eat.
The question is answered, but I feel there is a great deal I have left unsaid. If you have questions about what to feed young children, please write to me when you write for the free radio cookbook. I had almost forgotten the recipe for cream of spinach soup. That will never do. Pencils, please, while I read the recipe. 5 ingredients, as follows: 1 quart milk, 2 tablespoons butter, 2 tablespoons flour, 1 cup raw ground spinach, 1 teaspoon salt. Let's check the 5 ingredients, please. 1 quart milk, 2 tablespoons butter, 2 tablespoons flour, 1 cup raw ground spinach, 1 teaspoon salt. Place the milk in a double boiler with the salt. Wash the spinach well. Chop or grind it. If ground, place a bowl to catch the liquid which runs from the grinder and add to the spinach. Mix the flour and butter until well blended and add to the milk with the ground spinach. Stir until thickened and the spinach is cooked. This takes about 10 minutes. And that's all. Until tomorrow.
This broadcast was researched and produced by Breakaway Empire LLC.